Hello and welcome to the Delivered Social podcast. I'm joined today by Josh Robinson, who is a good friend of mine, going back a fair few years now. So, Josh, if you'd like to introduce yourself, what you do, and
Yeah, so I'm founder of LMSUK, and we run social media globally for musicians. We realised that 8 years ago, some of the biggest artists I was working with, Arctic Monkeys, Soundfender, Kasabian, had huge teams behind them, and often the more talented independent artists didn't have anyone.
yeah,
So we were like, right, let's actually make a service that's affordable, and work with these talented independent artists and watch them grow. And that's what really we've been known for the last 8 years, which
Amazing.
has been fantastic.
that's great. And where did the kind of, aside from what you just said, was there an initial inspiration for you that made you want to work within the music industry?
Yeah, I think I've just always loved music growing up. I mean, my whole life been to music festivals.
Nice.
My parents love. My dad's quite a good musician, unlike me.
Cool.
Can barely play guitar. But yeah, I just think that when I started at LMS UK, it was called Local Music Scene. We just
Yeah.
wanted to get gig tickets and festivals, and we wanted to go backstage. So that's where it all started. Literally made a T-shirt that said kind of staff, local music scene, and I'd go up to security at gigs and be like, "I've got an interview with Craig David in 10 minutes. You've got to let me through." I'd probably say 80% of the time that actually worked.
And that's without any sort of pass or anything.
Nothing. And then once you do good work with them, you actually get invited.
You get invited the next time. That's good. So if you're listening, just fake it till you make it. That's the advice here.
That's what we did.
Right, so obviously I know you came to university here, but you're Southampton born and bred. What brought you across to Portsmouth?
I was obviously, so I was from Fareham, so I'm really in the middle of Portsmouth and Southampton. A lot of my friends are Southampton based. And originally I really had my heart set on London, going to the London School of Business. And funny enough, I went to a music festival, went to Latitude Festival, and I would have been 18 at the time. And it was the first time I was ever homesick, ever in my entire life. And I just thought, no, I want to be closer.
Okay.
And that's when, obviously, I looked at the business school here, and specifically about the University of Portsmouth that I loved is the building we're in today.
Yeah.
So when I went up for my open day, they said, look, we support entrepreneurs. You get kind of a free office space, you get this, you get that, and apply for this funding. And I was like, perfect, that's
Amazing.
where I want to be. And I think a lot of students just come, do their course, and that's it. I was like, I'm paying all this money, I'm going to get everything out of this.
Absolutely.
And that was my attitude.
Amazing. Well, obviously, yeah, I did film production, so it was quite a different degree, but it was the same sort of. I suppose you've got all of this, like the Lone Store, for example. I don't know if you've ever had much use of that, but God, it was great. It was so good.
So we literally, I'm an entrepreneur in residence now, so I'll go back and do talks with students and lecturers. And they let me have the Lone Store. So when we do these big music festivals and we're interviewing these big artists, they're giving me X amount of mics, cameras.
Yeah.
These are top stuff, aren't they? I mean,
it's some really nice stuff. Yeah, I mean, we shot a short film on it, and the footage when we were looking through, we're like, wow, this is like a 15-year-old camera. Obviously, like film grade camera, but it's great. It's so good.
100%.
So I imagine you got some stick as a Saints fan when you first moved here.
My whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Like when I was growing up, I was a football referee, and I actually worked for Portsmouth Academy.
Okay.
So I was a referee for Portsmouth Academy and built up and did that. All of my family are Saints fans, apart from my granddad, who grew up in Gosport, and he always liked Southampton and Portsmouth, which is really strange,
quite rare.
isn't it? So he would go to the home game at Pompey, and the next week goes to the home game at Southampton.
Okay.
So he's always been very open about it and likes both the teams. And for me, I've always got a stick for it, and I kind of like winding people up.
I'm sure.
And that's a good thing about a rivalry, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like, think about all of my friends from college. I went to South Downs College on the hill.
Yep.
And university here. A lot
All
of
Pompey fans.
It's a good back and forth, and I think it's one of the last proper rivalries. Like, Arsenal and Tottenham play every year. Southampton Portsmouth, it's so rare when it comes about. There is something special about it.
Definitely.
And,
yeah, I was at the 4-0 in the League Cup. Was that 2019 maybe?
Yeah.
Just
That's a
before
nervy
COVID.
first 20 minutes for me.
It was, it was. And well, we walked in and we're like, because we got free tickets to go into the Saints End. So we were walking in with all the home fans, thinking that I think it's the first time I ever actually watched a game in Fratton Park. And we're like, we don't actually know how to get to the away end, but we don't want to ask anyone because we're too scared. I mean,
I can imagine that was intense.
it was. I mean, there was like the chants going on before game were pretty violent sounding. There was people punching horses and stuff. It was pretty nuts.
Yeah.
And then obviously the boys won.
I've been at the home grounds, and David Norris scored that last minute equaliser to make it. I think it was 1-1. Just remember the feeling of that day, going to school the next day and being like, oh.
Gutted.
But that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it comes and goes with football, doesn't it? It's ups and downs, big time. I mean, as a Liverpool fan, we didn't have a good season last year. Not as bad as yours,
No.
but I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think Saints can come straight back up, or do you see a little journey
it's a tough
now?
One. We've not sold any of the big players yet. I would love Prowse to stay, but I don't think he will. Lavia is incredible. I think he'll get snapped up.
Yeah.
The key for me is we've got Adam Armstrong and Che Adams, both capable of scoring 30 goals a season in the Championship.
Definitely.
If we can retain them, I think we've got a good chance. That's the big key for me, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like a tough season in the Championship. Well, this season coming up now, because I mean, you've got Leicester, Leeds, Southampton for starters. You would expect at least two of them to come back up. And then you've got all the teams that are already doing their bits in the Championship, the teams that missed out last season.
To get automatic promotion, you need about 90 points.
Yeah.
I mean, it is insane. We'll see.
We'll see. Right, well, moving on from football. So you've told us a bit about the story behind how you founded LMS and the kind of journey from there, but how would you say it's evolved since you first created it, and what are the key differences now as a business owner to a startup?
It's a great question. I think when we started up, a lot of the people who work for us were friends, and that's difficult to manage at times. And I was kind of in that mode of, I'm going to work 6 days a week, 15-hour days, and I'm going to make this work. Yeah. And I think as an entrepreneur, you're every department. You're sales, you're marketing, you're HR, you're everything.
It's your baby, isn't it?
It is, and you take control of that. And then there's growing pains as you mature as a company. But the big kind of switch for me is I read a book called Traction by Gino Wickman. It's my favourite book, and it genuinely changed my life. And it basically it explained that kind of entrepreneur to, and now you're a CEO. There's a big difference there.
Yeah, it's a step up, isn't it?
It's a step up, and you need to trust people in your team, right? And go, you're going to do that, and you let them get on with it. So what it does is it teaches you systems. So we've got a marketing system, we've got a sales system, and you give it to staff who are brilliant. And once you've got brilliant staff that you can trust, the results just go from. Yeah. So I'm in a very privileged situation now as a CEO where I can come do fun stuff like this. I can, if I was to go away for 2 months, the business would still grow. Yeah. And that's all thanks to that book, which genuinely is incredible. Anyone that's watching, there's a business owner, Traction, Gino Wickman, honestly, is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I'll look into that as a little recommendation. Cool. So obviously, I mean, I've met a few of the team, and I haven't really seen any of you guys in a while. So, I mean, what's the company like now? Is it a big staff, or is it still quite kind of like?
Including freelancers, we've got 36 members of staff.
It's amazing.
We're very good to our people. We go, what hours do you want to work? Do you want to be remote? Do you want to work in the office? Yeah. I genuinely believe kind of the new generation, millennials, they want purpose and they want freedom. Yeah. So what we kind of do is go, here's your key KPIs. These are the stuff we need you doing to a really, really good level. That's happening.
We're happy for you to do your thing.
100%. I think I've worked in companies where, I worked in recruitment. I was doing the marketing for them. It was like 8:30 to 6:30, regimented.
It's a long day.
I remember driving to work like, I can't do this. So when I became a boss or a founder, if you like, that's when I was like, I want to empower my people a little bit. Yeah. And there's 2 members of staff, Catherine and Adam, who've honestly been just unbelievable. And last year I decided to give them shares in the business because I knew we'd be nowhere near where we are without those two. So it was only fair.
Cool. So, with the passion for digital marketing, obviously, you've kind of worked in a lot of different sectors within marketing, and obviously, you've done your sales and recruitment, which I only just learned. But what would you say some like key elements are to creating one compelling content or compelling narratives across these different social medias? Because there is so many now.
Yeah, I think the key thing for brands is storytelling, right? So from kids, we've always loved stories. That, there's a main character, there's a plot, there's a Nike are the best in the world, in my opinion, at it. Because
Their marketing's incredible.
What they do is it's like Batman and Robin. They make you Batman and then Robin, and it's all about the stories of the athletes and how everyone can be someone. And I think that's fantastic marketing. And we talk about compelling content. It's all about the transfer of emotion, right? So if I'm working with musicians and I'm POV walking out on stage, the crowd going wild. If I was showing that to sports fans, they're not
going to
interested.
care. Yeah.
If I'm hitting my target audience with really emotional, compelling bits, I think that's where marketing is at its best.
Yeah.
And people on social media for two things: one, education, or entertainment.
Yeah.
So I think those are the most important pillars when you're kind of doing a feed, and making sure you've got that variety on there. I think is important. But
For sure.
what I love marketing for is that transfer of emotion, and when you're watching these incredible ads or clever videos and stuff, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those guys that if I see a billboard I like, I'm taking a photo of it, or like
it's inspiration, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And it's really amazing now seeing stuff like we work with, hundreds of artists around the world, seeing them create their own brand and working with them is just so enjoyable. And that's what I take pride from working with the biggest artists in the world, the smallest artists. The strategy doesn't change. What changes is who's listening, who's engaging.
Yep.
The Sam Fender campaign, the one line that was really powerful there was, "I was far too scared to hit him, but I would hit him in a heartbeat."
Such a well-known line as well.
That's it. So the plan with that, when I was speaking to his team, was, right, we want everyone to hear it 7 times in different locations, different areas, radio, live performance, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was as simple as that.
And it's ingrained onto people's brains now, isn't it?
That's it. And that's genius.
Yeah,
Genius
for sure.
marketing.
You touched on target audience a little bit there. Obviously you must have your distinct ways to capture in the type of listener for an act or for an artist. But there's so many different people with so many different tastes in music. How do you kind of narrow it down for, let's say you've got a small band from Chichester, how do you begin to make them more globally renowned?
So one of the best strategies I would say for that specific problem would be, I would sit the band down, go, who are your influences, who do you sound like? And they'll go, right, we sound like Royal Blood, or we sound like Foo Fighters, we sound like this. So on our targeted ads, we would kind of pinch their audience.
Okay.
So where those artists are, we know those fans would like this band's music. Let's target them, and that's when people would see it come up on their feed and go, "Oh, who's this? This sounds really good. It's my playlist."
Okay.
And then the content side of things, we would look at those two pillars: how are we going to educate people, how are we going to entertain people. And now the biggest problem the musicians have is they just want streams or followers. The only stat that matters is engagement.
Yeah.
Simple. Anyone that that is the key aspect as a musician. You want people that are going to engage with your music.
Yeah.
And that's something we have to reiterate a lot. I mean, because they see the big case studies that we've been involved with, like people with millions of streams, or we've taken them from 100 followers to 100,000, and they're like, wow. And I say to them on the calls when I first meet them, and been really lucky to travel all around kind of the world meeting our clients, and I say to them, ignore that noise, just concentrate on engagement.
Yeah.
That's the only stat online that matters. And the problem is, the musician's kind of like running a business. They're trying to do 10 things at once.
So, yeah, it's busy.
And often when you do 10 things at once, you're okay at 10. I want them to be outstanding at one thing: creating, writing, performing music. Everything else they give to our team. I don't want them doing it. I don't want them. They need to understand it. I don't want them physically doing it. I think that, again, as a CEO now, I don't need to be worrying about 10 different bits. I need to look at the key data that's really impacting the business and working on the biggest problem at the moment.
Yeah.
And be outstanding at one thing, not good at 10, is something that I've kind of installed into the team as well. Steve Jobs said, global company, Apple, and at his time running, he went, we run like a startup. each person has one responsibility.
Yeah.
We come together in a weekly meeting. We talk about that. You see great progression.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's as you were saying. I think with the following, especially, we obviously as a social media agency and digital marketing agency, we have a lot of that as well. We have people say, I want to double my following by Christmas.
Yeah.
And that might be from 400 to 800. But I think John said the other day that who was it? It was a guy from Blur or something performed in Wembley the other night.
Damon.
Could have been,
Albarn,
yeah.
actually.
And he only gained something like 800 followers from that. And you think if that's a world-renowned artist,
Yeah.
you think how hard it is to actually grow a social media following. I mean, I've had my Instagram account, not that I use it as much as like a big, this is me, it's my video work account. It's more social account.
Yeah.
But I've had that for like 8 years. It's on 1,400 followers.
Mm.
And you think it's like educating the clients and your artists that the following isn't the most important thing, as you say.
I would rather have 300 followers that are so active
Mm-hmm.
on every post, every talk I do, every kind of gig we put on, they're there, and have 30,000 and 5 turn up.
Yeah. I mean, that's it.
And I say to artists all the time, I say, some of our best case studies have been one of our artists have made like fan clubs or loyalty clubs.
Yeah.
So it'll be on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on Close Friends, on Discord, and they'll have their most engaged fans. They'll give them free merch, keeper tickets.
Yeah.
And as that slowly grows and grows and grows, even if it's got 50 people in there, all 50 people are kind of like insisting all their friends come to your show.
Yeah.
That can quickly get to 500. And a kind of Laurie Winners is a great example of that. Recently got number 1. They've got a fan group on Facebook. It's got about 2,500 people in. Across all their socials, they've probably got about 150,000 followers. But the majority of their income come from those super fans and the followers, because they're buying every bit of merch. They're coming to every show. And again, that's a perspective where I think you need a team of experts around you to give you that knowledge.
Definitely.
Rather than just followers.
Yeah, I think especially in the early days as well, it works. I mean, for any business, you need the people that have trust and faith in what you're doing, and then you need that team that are boosting them and bringing them up and saying, "Oh, hold on, let's take a step back here. This isn't going to work." I think the honesty is quite an important part of it, isn't it?
Being transparent.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so we'll go on to you a little bit now. As recognised as one of the top 100 entrepreneurs under 30 by the Business Magazine, I mean, how did that feel? That must have been quite amazing.
I was literally I was on a call with an artist and my phone was just going off. I didn't really look at it until after the call because I was concentrating on what I was doing. Come off it. And it just out of the blue. I mean, no one warns you, no one tells you. It just comes up. And they send the magazine over and it was like, wow, what an achievement to have. But as I said at the time, it's not me that's created that. It's having an unbelievable team.
Mm-hmm.
Like my team, they just get on, they crack on, we support each other, we help each other, but we push each other on. And the quality and the trust we have there is what's caused that. People go, founder of the year, young entrepreneur of the year, top 7, in the country, all this stuff. It's not about that. It's about the team. And I think the truly, truly great entrepreneurs, for me, my hero is Ben Francis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even a fan of Gymshark. I've never worn Gymshark, but him as a person, his outlook, I think is outstanding. He knows if he passed away tomorrow, God forbid, that business is going to carry on growing.
Yeah, and it will continue thriving.
You've seen Steve Jobs. We've seen, Elon Musk, doing things that, how that's even possible, I don't know. But these are the kind of people, and that lasting impact, for me, that makes a great entrepreneur when you're not needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's the definition for me. If someone says, what's success to you? I can work on a business, but I'm not in it and I'm not needed. That, for me, is really, really key.
I love that. That's a really nice outlook to have. I mean, it must be nice for your team to hear stuff like this as well. I think,
they know. They know how much they mean to me, and what they're doing is, again, coming back to purpose, they're changing people's lives every day. Musicians need fans, they need to engage people, and we are impacting literally all around the world. I mean, we were on a call yesterday with someone in Australia, tomorrow Canada, and genuinely all over the world. We've got people that love what we do, and that's not down to me. That's down to a team that have the resources, they know their purpose, and they're away, um, and we've got these processes in place where we know if A doesn't happen because someone's off poorly, then B happen. It's all really thought out like that, and that's probably one of my best strengths as an entrepreneur. But I've also got weaknesses. Like, I read a book, Surrounded by Idiots, what it's called, and it says that, and it's not about that at all, but it basically is why people get frustrated with each other in the workplace. And there's 4 colours. Okay, so there's a red, yellow, green, and blue. I'm a red. Okay, want to get things done.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Not a big quality guy. More of a process. Let's get achieve.
Mm-hmm.
You've got yellows, who are your social people. Can't
Okay.
sit still.
Bubbly ones.
They're
Yeah.
all over. People. Brilliant. You've got greens, who most people are greens, and they're very relaxed. They like their security, they like their comfort.
Yep.
And then the rarest is blue. Now, a blue is someone who's a perfectionist, often kind of IT geeks, you know.
Yeah.
Very honed
Very
in,
like
but
set in.
specialist.
Yeah.
And there's something really special when you bring all 4 together, because let's take a red and a blue. If I'm sat with a blue, we'd argue a lot because he's focused on quality, perfection, the details. I want to get things done.
Yeah.
So when you've got a team that has all those 4 colours, and you're bringing your strengths and you understand each other, you can speak each other's language, the results you get are incredible. Absolutely incredible. And that was a bit of a wow book for me as well, because it made me understand how to work with my team better.
Love that. So would you say that reading is quite an important part of your growth as a business owner?
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
I mean, every single day I will read a business book. Some I love, you know, Shoe Dog by Nike, I think, is an outstanding book. There's others loads of people recommend, and I think that is not how you run a business. I wouldn't dare. But yeah, every day, and as I said, I love my time at university. I learned a lot. The resources were great. If I had to choose between my degree and that book, Traction, I'd pick Traction. And that is genuine. Yeah. That's a £10 book on Amazon compared to a £40,000 degree.
Yeah, I understand that though. I see where, like, obviously, as much I loved uni, of course, I was one of the unlucky ones that was struck during COVID. I think you might have been around a similar time.
My final year was COVID.
Yeah, so it kind of kicked off in my second year. And I mean, that was gutting, but the uni experience as a whole was really good. I mean, getting hands-on experience with film kit and being able to sit down and write stuff, knowing that it's not going to be just me trying to make it, knowing that there will be a team. Like when we made Holy Grail, our short film, it was 4 of us. We lived together at the time, so it was like morning coffee was team meeting kind of thing. It was great, and playing to each other's strengths. Like I'll hold my hands up and say I'm not the most organised person. Yeah. Whereas Callum, the director, he's got lists upon lists upon lists of what needs to be done. So we just have the whiteboard up, and it's like, okay, James, these are your jobs this week. Do them. And then it allowed me to do what I could do better.
And again, it's those different colours coming together.
Yeah, exactly.
And the issue you see a lot of startup businesses do is, I'm a red, and at the start I was guilty of this. I'd hire other reds. That's an issue, because we're going to lose quality. We're not going to take our time on things.
Yeah.
It's important to be aware, like you said, everyone's got strengths and weaknesses.
For sure.
Play to yours and have someone that can kind of, in your weaknesses, bring them up a little bit and put the quality there. So yeah, but you're right, it's working that team, and with university as well, it's just the resources. You learn a lot. Like, my weakness was definitely law and HR. That's something university teaches you a lot.
Okay.
When starting a business on the business management course. So it's important. It was important, but in terms of life-changing stuff, Traction, because it's all about implementation. You can read every business book in the world. If you can't implement something,
it's what you take from it, isn't it? It's Well, I read a book called The Anatomy of Story. Can't remember who wrote it, so if you're watching, Guy, I'm really sorry. I'll flash it up on the screen or something. But it's great. It kind of takes away, because obviously the standard 3-act structure of a film, where it's like towards the end of the second act something goes wrong, and those films, it's like Marvel films these days. You pretty much know the plot before you've watched it, and it takes away from that. And I think those are the films I love the most. Like, I rewatched The Big Lebowski the other night. What a film. And it's just so random, and I think the storyline to it, you would never expect some of the things that happen to happen. And I think that's what I love about the storytelling.
It's so powerful. It's so powerful. I love at the moment doing my public talks. It's something I'm really, really passionate about. And And when you've got kind of students, like university students afterwards, there's 30 of them lined up asking you a question, you know that emotion's gone across. And they, I hate talks where people are trying to sell stuff. It's like, buy this, but that's not the point of a talk.
It's not what people are there for.
The talk are there. You're there to empower people and scare them feeling a certain way, getting your message across. And storytelling is how you do that.
Yeah.
And it's got to be done in an ethically correct way. It's got to be done in a way that suits your storyline, because there's different ways of doing stories.
For sure.
And bits and bobs like that. But it's so important. And then when a brand can do that on social media, that's when they're the best at what they do.
It's special when you see it. It really is. Well, with public speaking then, is that something you've always enjoyed, or was it something that you were maybe fearful of and just jumped kind of into?
I was at school, and a massive turning point for me was I went for head boy. There's a lot more popular kids that went for it, and I went for it, and I managed to get it. So at 15 years old, I've got acne everywhere. So I had alopecia, so I had a massive bald spot back of my head. I was a very nervous, shy boy.
Yeah.
One head boy, and you're forced to go and speak in front of 500 people, and that was a massive turning point for me in terms of confidence, in terms of belief, and that's a massive thing. I think when people genuinely believe in you to do something fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was it, and I loved it after that. Once I got out of my comfort zone and done it a few times, I really enjoyed it. So throughout college, throughout university, and now I get invited to do awards and host bits, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And again, it comes back to storytelling, making people feel a certain way. And if you can do that to even one person in the room, but it's going to change their life, unbelievable.
Do you find it harder then, would you say? I think I probably do. But do you find it harder to speak to your peers? Say there's, like, for example, when you're head boy, you've got 500 people that you know, some of them closely, some of them less so, than a room of strangers, would you say?
No, it's not. When people know you on a personal level in some way, you've got that leverage, haven't you? Because they know you. But when it is strangers, I think that's when you probably get more special results.
Yeah, for sure.
Just weighing that up. I think pros and cons either way.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So obviously you briefly touched on a few of the artists you've worked with. I mean, it's an incredible roster of people, to be fair. Who were you most starstruck by, would you say?
Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah.
For me, they are my favourite band, and I've had the chance to work with them twice, so we're obviously doing something right. That's the only time, I'll be honest with you, James, I was shaking. The first time, I was genuinely...
Had the paper in your hand and feel it going.
Yeah. The second time around was really recently. It was only a few weeks ago. And their team around them so good and so professional. You know you've got to match that.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was really, really enjoyable, and it was fantastic to work with. But that's the only time I can remember being genuinely
shaky.
And I've met some heroes of mine, just fantastic people. But I know if don't want to get the emotions get the better of me. You know, people make bad decisions on emotions. We want to be logical, and we believe in what we're doing. And when I'm interviewing artists, it's about, I hate the interviews you watch. It's like, talk to me about your new single. What's your new album like? We're asking questions like, if you want any pre-gig rituals, I want to find
it's
things
different, isn't it?
Just things that I would want to watch. If I was genuinely a fan of this artist, what would I want to know? And go with that approach. And there's been times where that's worked incredibly well. Yumi at 6, they didn't want to do the interview, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I was like, oh, go on then, make it short. Did it. He loved it so much. We carried on. He was like, ask another one, ask another one, ask another one. And it was one of them where he was like, that was one of the most impressive interviews we've ever had.
It's amazing.
And then I've had the flip of that with kind of some cool rock bands where, again, you're asking these kind of questions and they're just too cool for it. It's their brand image. They're a bit like...
bit more laid back, kind of.
So, yeah, it's, you take what you can.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good point, though. I mean, obviously, I watch a lot of actors and directors when they're in their kind of press tours for their films. And I was watching some of the Oppenheimer stuff. And I think Chris Nolan was gifted the Oppenheimer book by Rob Pattinson after they finished filming Tenet. And it had a fact in it that was like, in Nolan's mind, he was like, okay, I'm going to make this film because of that fact. That's given me the tools now to go and do it. And I think the interviewer was asking them all, I think him and his grandma read it together or something, because she was around at the time of Oppenheimer and all of that going on. And he asked all the directors and all the lead cast members about that. Have you ever had a shared experience through a film with your family? And all of them were like, that's such an amazing question. Like, you've thought really hard on that. And it goes to show that personal touch a little bit more, doesn't it?
Just thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's something I've learned the hard way, is actually slowing down sometimes. Just genuinely going for a walk and thinking about something like that. Get the very best ones.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing feeling when you ask a question. And we had it with recently the vaccines. They were like, wow, that is a seriously unbelievable question. Can I just think about it for a moment? You're like,
yes. Got it. I love that. And what you said about walking as well. I mean, I get some of my best ideas on a walk with some music playing, kind of thing.
Our COO Adam, I hope he doesn't mind sharing this. He goes, Josh, I get my best thoughts in the shower. So when we've got a difficult problem and we're finding ways to solve it, he'll just go in the shower, literally sit in the shower, and it will just come to him, and it will come out, and he'll be like, right, Josh, we're going to go. For me, I like a walk or a cycle, and every day I've just got to get out of the office, so I go to the gym.
Yeah.
And that's my space where I can, what's gone on in the morning, the craziness of all, process a little bit and come back with some solutions. But I've been told, I don't know how true this is there's a part of your brain for problem solving. The more you exercise it, the better it becomes.
I've heard that.
So the more solutions and stuff. So some of the best CEOs will sit there, and that's their job, isn't it? Really, it's cash flow and solve the biggest problems. Just finding different ways to attack things. But you need the energy to do that.
Yeah.
And that's important that you're not overloaded, because you need to focus.
I mean, that's a big thing. Me and Alec were speaking about this last week, about he basically hits a dead point every day, say 2-3 o'clock, and he's deep in a video edit or something. He's like, okay, well, I'll use this time where my brain's kind of switched off to go for a run, go to the gym. And he said 6 days a week he'll do that, have a rest day on Sunday kind of thing. And he comes back feeling revitalised and ready to keep going again until like the early evening.
But people need to, I think everyone at some point will burn out. It happens. You know, and it's important to understand why that's happened and notice that it's happened. But everyone's got a different threshold, and there's some people that I've worked with that will do maybe 2 or 4 hours of really concentrated work, and then that's it. And that's their max capacity. There's other people like I was when we started out, where I could work 15 hours a day and not have a social life and just put my head down and get it done. But I look at the quality of work I did over that point, it was nowhere near my best. So it's a balance now of pushing yourself and making sure you've made the most of each day and you've really progressed. But also, I don't want to lose on quality. I don't want one artist getting more than another.
Yeah.
And it's important to recognise that. And as Alex said, having that point of the day where you go out or do different things just to get back. And for me, I do struggle switching off, and that's where going home and reading my business books helps. People are like, oh, that's not actually switching off. For me, it is. It's that lay down, chill in the garden.
Yeah, it's nice.
Of course, I'm still learning and still doing bits, but I enjoy that. It's not work to me.
It's work and play, isn't it? It's if you enjoy what you're doing, it's not work. I suppose at the end of the day. As someone who's obviously worked for other people before, and now as someone that is the owner of a company, what would you say that the main difference is? You've one, feeling yourself, and 2, feeling your work within, I suppose, maybe being restricted by other people, and then being the person that might have to restrict other people.
I knew very early on that I couldn't work for anyone else long term. So I worked at Next, I worked as a Domino's Pizza delivery driver.
Yeah.
But the one job I really loved when I was younger was a primary school PE teacher. I really did enjoy that. And my gap year in recruitment. And you learn from all the people that your bosses, and they've all got strengths and weaknesses. And you like to think you take the best from all of them. And I'm very lucky now where I've got a set of mentors. I'm going to one on Thursday, but I've got a network to lean on. So Darren Ridge, who I see on Thursday, he sold OneCom for £85 million, I think it was, and it's a telephone company, so telephones were getting big. So I've got people to go to learn off,
Yeah.
and pick on their strengths and understand what they did and how they did it. And I'm very lucky like that because I've gone out on LinkedIn and I've messaged people that I know can help me,
Hmm.
and I'll just go, look, can I borrow an hour of your time? Can I pay to jump on the Zoom and get some mentoring? Often they go, don't worry about paying, let's just do it, and they're really helpful and build a really good network like that. And then you look at your previous bosses, and there's some bosses you think, right, you didn't have any empathy towards your staff. If something bad happened in my personal life, I'll be honest, they didn't care. They're not
Yeah.
bothered. I've got other staff that can do more for you, but then were unorganised or didn't like the way that they worked. And you try and take the best from all of them, and they've all had a great impact. I mean, I know that I can go back to them, and they're always on the end of a call if I need them.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really nice to have.
Definitely.
But yeah, they've all got their strengths. I worked for Liam at Highfields recruitment, and Liam was such a good people person, like managing a team. Just if you did something well, praising you in public. If you did something wrong, criticise you in private. Just unbelievable culture. I've never seen a business with such good culture. Recruitment's a tough industry, and
Definitely.
Staff don't leave him. They just love working. He implemented a 4-day work week early, really early.
Okay.
Little things like that. I just think Liam is outstanding at. And then there's other bits where, like Simon, if I ever had personal problems, he was just a brilliant leader in that sense. And you want to take what you can from each person.
For sure. Yeah. I think that is so important. I mean, as well, it could be taking stuff from your parents, taking stuff from friends and colleagues at maybe same level as you and stuff like that. It's massively important to be able to say, okay, like this week I'm going to be 10% a better person by following advice from this person, for example. It's great. Okay. I think you mentioned the fact that you might not be, but are you musically inclined yourself? Do you like a little strum here and there?
I can badly play guitar. Yeah, I enjoy doing it, but I'm not great. It's always fun at soundcheck, getting on and having
a play.
We've got a couple of Fenders in the office and stuff,
Nice.
and yeah, we all love music. I mean, that's so important. You look at our culture at LMSUK; it's about progression, and it's about the love of music.
Yeah.
Nothing. Back in the day when we started, it was like we'll just say yes to any client, anyone that wants to work with us, we'll take them on. Whereas now you fit what we're trying to do. Do we enjoy your music? Can we fit you with the right person? That's where, again, coming back to quality over quantity.
Yeah, definitely.
And the results.
I mean, well, that's a big thing for us as well. It's obviously, we want the money through the door, but sometimes you look at the business, you think, maybe not.
We're not afraid to turn business away.
Yeah.
If people are not the right fit, they're not looking to do what we're trying to do, we don't mould ourselves or shape ourselves for something else. I have music businesses all the time go, well, you do musicians socials, just do ours. And we're just going, no, it's not what we're good at. It's not what we do. It's not what wakes us up in the morning. We'd earn a lot more money if we did that. It's just not. I'm not interested. The passion is not there for me.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing as well. Even if, say, in 10 years' time, you did think, okay, we open a second section of the business up where we take on these kind of music businesses. Yeah. But it's a process. I think that's an important thing to know.
Yeah, and I'm playing an infinite game. It's about improving and every week getting stronger and better. But I don't think my competitors can live with me if we keep doing this for 30, 40, 50 years. And that's how I think. I think in decades, I'm going, if we continue with the rate we're growing, and we do that for the next 40, 50 years, there's no way we're not the biggest name in the industry for digital marketing. At the moment, we don't compete with anyone because everyone else is charging a lot more than us. And that gives us amazing exclusivity, amazing power.
Yeah. Because
we're not competing. I don't think I'd be a great entrepreneur, recognised as I am, if I was competing in an industry that was really competitive, because you're always looking at competitors, show us what they do and what they offer.
Yeah.
We don't operate in that sense at all. Every question we have in a meeting is all about how do we get our artists to progress more? Is it in the live? Is it on socials? Is it building the family? That is what every conversation revolves around. We're not looking at other people. We do have competitors like Mustard Media and other people who charge a lot more with festivals and this and that, but we are in our own little bubble, which we're very privileged to be in. And it won't always be the case, but we're going to take advantage in the meantime.
For sure. Amazing. Well, we've spoken a lot about the kind of music management side of it.
Mhm.
Let's go on to talk about the events and some of the events that you've been a part of, some of the events you've created. I mean, first of all, what's your favourite one you've done?
Favourite event? That is really, really tough. Tion Wayne was special
Mm-hmm.
in terms of it just went. It was a blur. Having that many thousands of people at your show, it was everything we worked towards, and it was happening in front of my eyes. And it just felt like when I look back at that evening, it felt like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
From start to finish.
You just loved it.
And afterwards, after the show, it was probably like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I'm just sat home like this. And it's just one of them where you're like, wow, wow. We've got another big name coming to Portsmouth. We paid for it last week.
Amazing.
I can't say. Maybe
Okay.
off camera. We've got a massive name coming back, and we want to do, even better than we did with Tion. And again, looking at that, promoters don't want to do urban music because they're scared of what it comes with.
Mm-hmm.
Touchwood, we've never had a problem. We didn't have it with Kojo Funds, with Tion, with Charlie Soft. Never ever had any issues. So we believe that's our way to compete in that sector. Last year, we were doing 20 events per month. I mean, it was stressful.
It's a
It
lot.
was tough. We've now gone for, right, we're going to go for quality over quantity.
Okay.
And we probably do 4 or 5 shows a year. There's a huge decrease.
Yeah.
But with what we're doing, again, other promoters rushing around trying to do everything. We're really focusing on quality.
You're giving yourself the time to ensure it's the perfect night kind of thing.
Spot on.
Amazing. What kind of challenges have you faced with event management, and how have you overcome them?
We put on Charlie Sloth, and he just left BBC Radio 1.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Fire in the booth himself. He was going to Apple Music, so he was in every newspaper. He was everywhere. I was like, this is my first big show in Portsmouth. Right, let's go for it. Spent the entire bank account on this, James. Every penny on this show, and no one turned up. Well, very few people turned up, shall I say. That was horrific. I mean, people kind of look at entrepreneurs and they'll go, I need a nice car, it's got a house and all this stuff. Fantastic. I cried that night. I was just a mess. Like, it was awful. Embarrassed from my friends and family. And then the next day, I've had to take my team out. Never ever forget it. We went to Wagamama's in Whiteley. I'm never going to go back. And we made a list of everything we did wrong. And there's about 15, 20 things on that list. And we still use it today. And that really has made us successful. I had to go back to football refereeing to pay for the wages. I mean, that's how serious it was. And then we built back up, and COVID happened. So overnight, half of my business, the income just went.
Yeah.
So we retrained our event staff for the social media side.
Right.
And that's when we went from a UK-based company to a global.
Mm-hmm.
We were one of the only music companies during that time to grow big. Because we took advantage of that. And then when we knew events were coming back, we were prepared. We were ready. And that was probably the toughest thing we had to overcome.
Yeah.
It was just looking at a huge problem and seeing how we can make that an opportunity.
I mean, it's failure and being the biggest teacher, isn't it?
It was horrible. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy, but I'm glad it happened. I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I'm very glad it happened.
Amazing. How important do you think it is for businesses and artists to have a strong social media presence? Like,
it's the way of the world. The first impression, 90% of the time, people are going to have is your socials.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're a person, whether you're a musician, whether you're a business, it's the first impression, and it's so important people see a little bit of themselves in that. For me, it's almost, from an entrepreneur point of view, it's almost a CV now.
Yeah,
it is your socials, and it's so important that is looking and great. And musicians all the time go, I hate social, I hate social, I hate social. I just want to make music. Okay, brilliant. Do you want people to actually listen to your music? Yes. Yeah, well, you need socials then.
Yeah.
And it's important they have that understanding. And you can learn to love it. You can bring in experts like Delivered Social or LMSUK to do it. I mean, there's loads of routes to go down, but ultimately, the way of the world at the moment is critical.
Yeah.
And the data that people are collecting is just incredible. But Positives, you can compete with the biggest musicians, biggest businesses,
Yeah.
because you can target exactly who you want.
Yeah.
You want to
Exactly.
target a certain a certain demographic, a certain interest. It's leveled the playing field, and you have got to take advantage of that.
Amazing. And I mean that's it. It's the scalability of some social media. I know we spoke earlier about how it's really hard to grow a following, but at the same time, you look at the likes of is it Carby Lame, the guy that did the and his growth. I mean, from was it 6 months or something? He was suddenly the most followed person on TikTok, and now he's got brand deals with Gucci, and he's doing Paris Fashion Week and stuff. And you think it's crazy how quick you can grow on it if you find your niche and smash it. Really.
Yeah, when preparation opportunity meet, it's luck.
Yeah.
And if you do that and he's entertained people, then go for it. You've done that, and yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. What I enjoy about socials is we don't have the biggest following on a business. We've probably got 7,000 on some socials and bits. But what I love is the community we have. So our eyes working together, commenting, sharing. Like, you know, we'll do a post and get 400 or 500 likes without spending any ad budget, because again, it comes back to engagement. That's the most important stat. And when you've got thousands of people seeing what you're doing each week, it's great. And for anyone listening, whether you're just a person that does their own thing, you're a business, you're a museum, whatever it is, do good work and showcase it.
Yeah.
Don't do good work and hide away. Don't feel like you're being arrogant. Don't feel like you're being cocky, because people out there will get inspiration from it and it'll mean a lot to people. So put it out in the world, and the best way to do that is socials.
A friend of mine, she said, I think she kind of freelance runs social media accounts for beauty businesses. She's up in Manchester, and I remember one of her older businesses was like a crystal business. And she said she posted some videos on it and got some negative comments from people that she knew from school or from college or something, and didn't stop. Obviously, it was a bit of a setback. It always is hearing negative things about yourself, but she didn't stop. And I mean, now she's smashing it, and I think that's such an important thing to know. That I mean, I post some crap on TikTok, some really bad videos, but at the same time, I think they're funny. So I mean, if I think they're funny, maybe 30 people think they're funny, and I've made 30 people's day. So
that's it, mate. And you know, in my story, I remember telling my friends in the Facebook group chat, I'm going to go and interview big artists. I'm going to work with big musicians, and they all took the mickey. They didn't believe me. I think I've somewhere still all the screenshots of it. Luckily, with my personality type, it was alright. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to do it. I'm still good friends with one of my own name now, and I love going back and seeing him. And he was like, "Yeah, you can't argue it. Fair, like, well done."
Yeah.
Like, I used it as motivation personally. To go, right, okay, I'll show you. I think again, getting the best out of yourself. I'm very lucky to have a very supportive dad who loves music and will help me with bits. My mum comes from a financial background, accounting, and she's been very, very tough on me in terms of doesn't say well done, doesn't say good, that's great work, constantly pushing me. I need that. To
it's
get
good
the
to
best
have
results, to not rest, to keep pushing on. And of course, people would be listening. Like, that's your own mother. It doesn't say well done. Like, I'm sure she does in a way, but I like the fact that you could have done this. We haven't done that yet. Why are you getting ahead of yourself? Keep my feet on the ground.
Definitely.
And be like, what's next? Because it's ruthless. You have got to be. The key word's relentless.
Yeah.
If you're going to be successful, and for me personally, it works. I've got that balance, because going too that way and not having the support, that would probably cause issues. So
for sure,
again, having a great team, great mentors, people behind you is so important.
It is really important. I mean, within my work, it's not every day someone says, "James, great video," or "James, love this blog you've just written." It'll be occasionally I get a little compliment for it, and that's all I need. I think.
How good's it when an artist, or no, sorry, a client for you takes it first time without any like changes?
Oh, it's amazing. It's oh god, that's what I need. That's what I need more of. It's like no amendments. You know, you finish a video for someone and they
Outstanding.
yeah, they love it. Or on the other hand, you've got really like the video, but can you change the music? And you're like, oh,
I know.
that's a new edit.
Yeah.
But you learn from that. You say you give them song choices before you do the edit, and you know the rest is history.
It's fun.
Okay. I've kind of gone over that. Looking ahead, what exciting? Obviously, I know you've got one that you can't talk about on camera just yet, but is there anything that you are working on that you can share about LMS or personal life? Anything really?
The big goal now for LMSUK is we've got a few hundred clients, love what we do, we're very exclusive, we turn people away, they're the right fit, we'll bring them in. What I want to do now is create a platform for every musician.
Okay.
Every musician in this planet would get a benefit from it, and I want to keep it dirt cheap. Under 20 quid has to be for me. And that platform, we're going to call it the Backstage Pass.
Okay.
We're a soft launch at the moment.
Cool.
In the next few years, I want it to be a no-brainer for every musician in the world to go, yeah, I need that, and give them the tools, give them the resources for them to get a competitive advantage.
Okay.
So I want to, and this is what I'm saying to my team, I don't care about the finances on that. For me, take Uber. Uber've never made a profit, ever.
Yeah.
But they've expanded globally. Everyone's got the app, everyone uses it, everyone loves it. They've never made a profit. For their share prices, it makes the value of that brand, you know,
Massive.
millions, if not billions.
Yeah.
So we've got the backbone of the business, which creates the profit, gets everyone's wages paid, you know, our nice office and equipment. We've got all of that. I want to now create something that is truly global. For me, it's about progression. I've never been money motivated in my life at all. Probably the worst thing a CEO could say. Not bothered. For me, it's all about, can we change the world? Can we be a global brand? And LMSUK, you go to any country and they know you, they talk about you. We've got to a stage now, you go into any UK venue and you're watching the show, chances are quite a few people in there will know about us.
Yeah,
and
I'm
that
sure.
makes me incredibly proud, but not enough. My next step is to be a truly global brand, and I think that's what people that are watching, follow the socials, LMSUK, you will see in the next few years.
Amazing.
Is us trying to develop into that and having, you know, we're already global, we do have artists all around the world, but I want it to be to a point where it's stupid you don't have this app.
Yeah, like a global household name.
It's so great for musicians. It's like, it's just a no-brainer. For me, in my personal life, I order from prepped food each day.
Okay.
And they send me my lunch. So it's really healthy, lots of protein in it. It's all fresh, and they send me their lunch every day. They could charge double, and I'd still be with them.
Yeah.
I love their product and their service so much. I want that for LMSUK, where it's just an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah.
And I can go to pitches or speak to musicians, wherever we be, and it's not like, oh, I want one or two people to sign up in this room.
I want you all to.
If any of you don't, that's on you. You're missing out, not me. And that's the approach we're going to have with the Backstage Pass.
So is it going to be a kind of educational app? Or?
Yeah, give people templates. We're going to give them the opportunities they wouldn't have without them. We're going to give them. A lot of musicians don't understand the industry, so they'll go, I want to make great music. I want to be a full-time artist. Brilliant. Have you got PRS? What's PRS? Okay. That'll be like, how does like song shares work? Who earns what? It's important that they understand it. They don't need to know it. They don't need to kind of utilize it. But going into meetings with top industry contacts, you need to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So again, we've done a soft launch. The feedback's been absolutely incredible. I'm really, really excited. I'm not in a rush to put it out. We're going to do it properly, and we're going to probably target a country at a time and do it that way, and get locals involved with it. I think that's important. I've seen a lot of businesses expand globally, and the culture's different. We work here in a certain way in England.
Yeah, big time.
Even with our clients in Wales, Scotland, or Spain, they all work different, and it's important you have someone that side who understands that.
Yeah.
If you're going to be successful in those places.
Amazing. Anything else that you want to kind of shout about for you or for LMS?
Guys, if you're looking for people to do public talks on motivation, entrepreneurship, I'm your man. And for anyone out there you are a musician or you know a musician, get them following our page. We're very kind of educational based, very value based, and if you're a musician that wants to be a full-time artist, jump on our website, get in touch with one of our team, and talk it through. See if there's a collaboration there to be had, and we'd love to just do a free music consultation with you.
Amazing. And he's not lying, they are brilliant. I've worked with LMS a few times as a freelancer in the video side of it all, and they're great. You see the relationship they have with their clients, it's brilliant. So Josh, it's been a pleasure, mate. Good to see you. If you've stayed this long, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to sit down with Josh today and have a catch up, a long overdue catch up. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time. Lovely. Nice one.